Good evening and welcome to a new edition of To The Point. I'm Dina Osman, and this evening we'll be discussing the Egyptian scene. Is there a way to move forward? With us this evening, contributed a large chunk of his life towards serving this country in many capacities. With us this evening is Dr. Hisham El Sherif. Dr. Hisham, thank you very much for joining us on To The Point.
Thank you for inviting me.
I don't want to go into any introductions because the scene explains itself, or I don't know whether we can use the term explain, because there are lots of questions in the Egyptian scene right now. What is your reading? Why is it that whenever we try to move forward, something has to come in and ruin this? To the point that we have reached a stage whereby a soccer match, a simple soccer match, turns the country upside down, with tens dying, hundreds being injured. What's happening to us?
I'm going to try to be as positive as I can be in a scene which basically implies that no one can be positive within this environment. I think we missed a major opportunity to translate the great revolution that we had from the 25th of January to the 11th of February, to translate this revolution into a revolution of growth and prosperity for a nation, to take it in the positive direction.
Yes.
And I think where we are today, we will never get out of this for years and maybe decades, unless you and I and every other Egyptian in this country pull together into an initiative or reconciliation, and to come to the rationality and the wisdom to see that we need to stop what we are doing and move to the positive track. The positive is very clear. Very clear. We are destroying a golden opportunity that comes to nations maybe once in a lifetime, to turn a course of a country and a nation and people who decided that they are calling for democracy, they are calling for hope, and they are calling for justice and development into a total destruction and a massacre.
Initially, do you think we knew, all those that went, for example, to Tahrir Square on January 25th of last year, do they understood what they were asking for? Or were they just follow the pack or follow the leader?
I think they understood very clearly what they were asking for.
Was there a vision?
They understood very clearly the values, the great values that people are calling for: hope, again, for freedom, for democracy, for justice, and for growth and development.
Where did those people go? Are they the same ones standing in Tahrir right now?
No, they're not. But they do not know how to go about translating this into a strategy, policy, a plan, constitution, and a system for the whole country.
Isn't that why we have political parties? I mean, this is not the role of the average layman.
This is exactly the role that should have been taking place by political parties. But unfortunately, most of the political parties that we have on the scene are not interested, and maybe they don't know how to do this. And I can say as well, most of the political leaders that exist on it, they don't know, they have not run even a company or an organization. And so how can they build a system for a nation? In order basically you need to re-engineer a system that was corrupted, that was wrong, that did not serve the best interest of the country, to re-engineer this into a system that everybody relate to, belong to, and build through. This is knowledge and science. Unfortunately, those who are trying to get the thinkers, the leaders, the movers and shakers from the scene, and they think that bunch of demagogue or bunch of guys that trying to be the revolutionists of the today, claiming that they can lead the nation. They're not. They're going to basically move what we have from what we have into simply another model of Iraq or another model of Iran. What I think that we need to make sure of, that we need to move. Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay. We seem to be having a slight technical problem here.
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
My mistake.
No problem. Go ahead.
So are you on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't know where I left, but basically what we need to do is to make sure that we are moving into the right direction. Of course, what we saw in Port Said, that's a major blow, not to Egypt, to humanity at large. Okay. Unfortunately, what we used to call it Dunya is
the mother of the world.
The mother of the world is not anymore the mother of the world. Where is the mother of the world? The symbol itself meaning that you are relatively better than many other communities in the world. How do you define better? Better that you are peaceful, better that you are prosperous, better that people are relate to other people, that they are happy, that they find jobs, that you can move from one place to the other in a short time and easily, that the quality of life is great, etc., etc., etc. Egypt is not anymore Dunya, or the mother of the world.
Who is responsible for this? I mean, the majority of the people are very depressed by events.
We have, from day one, a total lack of leadership. And those leaders who can emerge, right, would not accept to emerge the fighting of the streets like this. Who is fighting who? Are we fighting our own brothers who are in the police, or we're fighting and killing our own brothers who are in the streets expressing ourselves from what's left from the revolution, or even from those who don't know? I mean, who's fighting who? We are all the same family at the end of the night.
But there is always this third party that comes in.
Are we fighting the army? I mean, look at any average Egyptian family or any building. You'll find the policeman, you'll find the army officer, you'll find the young chap, you'll find who's killing who? Without going to reconciliation.
I'm asking you this question, who is killing who? Because right now, the people are against the army. It was initially people against the police, now it's people against the army. And we're going to continue to be against whoever is governing.
This is exactly the outcome that was foreseen of what the current political parties and what the previous political parties have contributed to this country. A divide.
So how is it different?
A nation which is divided, but not only into two, into tens, maybe hundreds. And what we see and what we saw are just flashes of possible civil war.
Have we always been this way, and maybe the recent events have highlighted or ignited this tendency within us?
Frankly speaking, I haven't seen that. But I have been questioning, like you, Adina, and like many others, are Egyptian, or have Egyptian
Are we that fragmented?
Not all. We are fragmented.
Have we been that, were we that fragmented before?
We have been fragmented. We have been fragmented in many ways. But have we been that bloody? This is what I didn't know in all my life. Where did this come from? Mm-hmm. Are we another model of Iraq? And this is just hidden?
But can we compare the same situations? I mean, Iraq, you had foreign intervention, very evident foreign intervention. And I'm saying evident because some people are saying there is foreign intervention. You have a lot of subdivisions between different factions. I mean, there are lots of factions in Iraq that are causing this fragmentation. We don't have this in Egypt.
Unfortunately, we do have it in a different way. You do have foreign intervention. Mm-hmm. But we don't declare it as much as possible. Everybody in the region is here, and everybody international is here, and anyone who would like to do anything with any party, they are doing it. And just what you saw from the last case is just a symbol of that.
But isn't that the role of the army right now, or the military council to contain this?
We blame the army.
The government.
Okay, that is it.
Shouldn't they contain this
the one
intervention?
need to be blamed is the previous government, the one who contributed to this mega collapse.
Which previous government? Whose government?
Hisham El Sherif.
Hisham El Sherif's government. Okay.
I mean, this whole divide. Mm-hmm. I mean, we lost almost 400 billion of basically the wealth of Egyptian poor people. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody who has 10,000 pounds and putting it in the stock in the thing, we lost it. The poor guy lost it. Yes. Forget about the major companies, though we shouldn't, okay? But the nation lost 400 billion. How long will it take us to rebuild that? The nation got paralyzed for 9 months. The reserve, we lost more than half of the reserve. Mm-hmm. We have not created a single job in 1 year.
No opportunities?
No opportunities. Mm-hmm. Go to any hotel in Luxor or Aswan or the Red Sea at 15 or 20% occupancy. I mean, tourist company hotels cannot pay their fixed salary, basically fixed basic. I mean, whom to blame? Is this the revolution? Mm-hmm. Okay, we went out of a previous regime, hopefully for a more prosperous and more just regime.
Wasn't Hisham Sherif selected from Tahrir Square?
Forget about Hisham Sherif, forget about this government contributed to disaster. Now we need to build it. Mm-hmm. I am not from a school who go to try to find excuses here and there.
Do we have what it takes to build it?
Yes, we do.
The people are not...
You and I are here, and there are, 80 million out there. If someone go and wake them up, let's go and build. Let's not divide.
People don't want to. Most of the people, they want to take before they give.
Unfortunately, most of the political prospects leaders that I've seen, everybody is looking for a chair. And those who are even sincere, I doubt that you know how to basically get this country forward and leapfrog with it. Mm-hmm. Has anybody of them talked to us to date about reconciliation? I'm calling for a major reconciliation initiative. Mm-hmm. I'm calling for this, the assembly, our parliament, to go and basically talk about nothing but how to reconcile and build.
Do you see this parliament different from the previous one? Because this is what a lot of people are saying. They're saying we replaced X by Z. I don't want to go into...
As a matter of fact, I'm going to call them. Okay, we have replaced a unilateral regime by another unilateral regime. Okay, we replaced the Watani by the Ikhwan. Even the language is the same. Even the hatred, the magnitude of the hatred is the same. Even the tools are the same. Every one of them want to get everybody in the same prison, in the same cell that you used to do. This is not democracy. And this is not reconciliation, and this is not build-up. And instead of putting the energy negative on all of this, let's put the energy positive to build a nation, to get kids to a school and to compete in the world, to get people to go back in harmony, to clean the streets so that we can go to work, okay, to get back to business.
Isn't that the role of the political parties and civil society?
What do you mean civil society?
People, the organization.
This is the whole responsibility
but
of all of us.
someone has to mobilize people.
The
Don't forget
political
that
parties, by the way, they went home.
You have 50%
By the way, I don't see
that are illiterate.
I don't see political parties. I see everybody is just trying to make a show off, or the showbiz, or the flash on the talk show. We are not talking rationality. How many people convince you, Gina, when you watch them or when you listen to them, about building a nation that deserves to be built rather than to be destroyed? How many? Are you happy with what you see in the streets? Even we are not transforming the revolution into any meaningful sense.
Can you call it really a revolution without a leader?
No, I don't call it revolution.
Because this is what a lot of people are saying right now.
It is a simple coup that jumped on a great revolution. And what we see today is the result of the implementation of that coup. And it was not a military coup.
No.
It was a very intelligent, very powerful, extremely political, driven religiously, and got us to another unilateral party. I was hoping 3 weeks ago, and I had a major promise by someone I respect, that I'm going to see the positive news from this major party. But what I've seen is no different from the Watani promises. The same demagogue, the same views about we, and the more interest to get more power. Okay? And now what's left is basically to get rid of the police and the army in their views so that they take the country over. And we become another model of either Iraq or Iran. Because these guys in the streets, those who know and those who don't know, will not accept this anymore, because the window of freedom came to this country to stay rather than to go.
But you have to be capable of making the right decision, understanding the facts on the ground. Do you think
What
the
we need
average
is-
layman understand the facts on the ground?
No, you don't understand. First of all, there are no information and no facts on the ground. Nor political, nor economic, nor social, nor environmental. There are no facts at all that are given to the society. And this is a crime.
Aside from the fact that the media is contributing a large chunk to this, and I have to say, we are doing a big...
The media are not giving facts. They are giving chaos. Let me ask you a few questions. First of all, set of political questions. Do you know who destroyed the prisons on the 25th of January, 28th of January? Do you know who basically attacked our police stations? Do you know who killed the people on the 28th of January? Do you know who did the Port Said thing? Do you know who destroyed all the churches and of what happened? Do you know all the info? And
It's under, we're told it's under investigation. We're told
for
there
a
is
year.
a third
That's one.
party.
Second, do you know the question of what is the exact losses, economic loss?
The
Is
magnitude.
this a right for everyone or not?
No, they have to understand it to be able to work within this
Right or
context.
Because,
Yes.
any nation. Third, you know all the social price that we pay in transportation, chaos that's been accumulated by the previous regime. And we got a prime minister who used to be a minister of transportation. He didn't even put a plan for transportation. Fortunately, the current minister is doing a lot of things, trying to catch up on 30 years, even 60 years of transportation infrastructure that we haven't done. Health, education, etc. Don't we deserve all of that? You don't have information about anything. And more importantly, more critically, that you find that policies are formed by ministers, not by the cabinet. Everyone who would like to have a policy. We were a liberal nation, and suddenly we became a social left biased. I mean, who decides on these policies? We, the people of Egypt, or someone who's becoming a minister for a short period to take us from extreme right to extreme left, or from extreme left to extreme right. Like the old days, overnight you have a nationalization. And today, how many cases are being put today against Egypt for the lack of the delivery and the respect of whatever we said in terms of our legal environment? Hundreds of millions of dollars that we're going to pay by ignorance and by lack of leadership and a lack of responsibility. We don't calculate the magnitude and impact.
Some people are saying that the problem is that whoever is in a seat, in an official seat right now, is concerned, is worried, is scared to take any decisions due to the loud voices on the street.
Great. I'll tell him one word. Get out of the seat and give it to someone who has the guts to do it. Everyone. Whether they are in the cabinet, or whether they are in the Army Council, or whether they are, if they cannot take a decision that benefit the majority of the people, they have to get out. I mean, what I'm arguing is a different thing. That we should then put the nation first, not the seat first. Okay? Who is caring day to day and more about people in the streets, about their security, their peace, their food, okay, their transportation, how they eat, how they manage? Who's communicating with the society? Nobody is communicating with the society. We're living about how to communicate with the society, building more and more partially factual and many frustrations. Who is the guy who's every day will communicate? This is the log of what we did today, what we did this week, what we're going to do this month, politically, economically, socially, environmentally.
When you say communicate, you really have to know what you're going to come out and say. Do you think most of those who are on the seats know what they actually are supposed to be doing?
I don't think so. And we should not blame many of them. I mean, those who have been in the army, their business is to protect the nation.
And those
not to run politically the country. The mistake they made, that some of them, some members of the council went and talked politics, and they shouldn't have done that from day one. With who? With those who are basically is politics. For 90 years they have been talking politics. They manipulated them in a way to end up where we are today. This is an outcome well managed by those who destroyed the country.
When you look at how things are progressing, we're not settled. I mean, we're
not settled because there are many factions that are basically running against each other, okay, fighting each other for the seat.
Can we go for presidential elections? I mean, the last thing that was announced by the Military Council that nominees can start nominating themselves March 10th. Are we ready for that?
Gina, here in this program, I told you before that if you'd like a true democracy, you need a framework and you need a process. What we cared about is our image in the election and the box. But the framework was wrong. Why? Because you did not allow all the Egyptians, okay, to come forward to be part of the democratic process. In a simple way, there are basically infant parties, people who have never experienced political parties before. You ask them, young chaps, revolutionists, best of Egypt, 48 parties, to play against a party that was preparing for 70 years or 80 years for this day. It's like, again, the example I give, like Muhammad Ali Clay. You recall Muhammad Ali Clay? Playing this boxer, playing against babies. Of course it's going to be overwhelming.
He's going to kill them.
Of course. And you got everybody else out. You called it Wataris, you called it Filul, you called it everybody. So what was on the Saha
was a
in number, the similar number of the Wataris. Watani and 20 something parties. Here, Ikhwan and 47. And the show, base of the democracy came in, and here is the result.
So, because I need to wrap up, how can we move forward? And we have a couple
reconciliation, reconciliation.
How?
Okay.
We are more divided than we can possibly envision.
If there is no rational leader in the country to call for this, I'm calling for it. And to call upon every wise man in this country, whether in the army, in the police, in the parliament, he has a voice like you, or he has a pen, or he has a seat in a parliament, which I'm ready to accept if it moves to the best interest of Egypt. But I'm not going to accept if it's going to destroy the country. Okay? A government, everyone, let's go for reconciliation. Let's bring everybody on board. Let's make sure that to respect that everybody is a national citizen who has the right to contribute to this country. And let's stop the divide. And let us stop looking only to the past and equally look forward for the future.
Yes.
Reconciliation. And let the justice work. And let us respect the police and the army and the justice system and the freedom of expression. Let's get the facts for the people. Let's put a plan forward for the next 100 days, for the next, until a president comes, for the next, few years to come. Do you know, Gina, what the president is going to be doing? Is he going to be like the president of India or the president of Israel? Or he's going to be like the president of France?
I don't think even those who are nominating themselves.
I think what everybody is asking for is a chair.
Yes.
But someone who would basically do nothing but protocol business, I don't think he would accept to run for again a presidential election. If we're going for the parliament system. We haven't finished that. Are we going to be presidential system? It's going to be like the States or like France? This is a joke.
It is to be decided.
It's to be decided.
If it will
reconciliation is the word.
Dr. Hisham El Sherif, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you, the viewers, and it is time to pause and think. Where are we heading, and how are we, as Egyptians, contributing to the development of our country? And on that note, good night, and see you next week. Good night.